The Business Journal Roundtable Series is sponsored by iSynergy, creative digital advertising.
So this brings me to all of the changes in the social media market. And so what's a business to do? There's social media, traditional media, digital media, there's all this stuff, and it's all changing really rapidly. And folks are confused. What's to do? Let's go over to this side.
Yeah, I think that, there are so many different forms of media today and so many options. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, though. I think it just gives businesses more opportunities, to choose what's right for them. I think it's important for them to understand, what each type of media is and what it's good for. But I think, coming to people like us who can kind of help them navigate that, depending on what their goals are, what their budgets are, what their target audience is, we can help them kind of decide what type of media is best. If it is social media, if it is programmatic digital or something like that.
Steve, can you give an example of what you would do with when a company comes to you and says, I have no idea what to do? Maybe they're selling widgets. Would you put them in social media?
It depends on the client. I don't think every single business out there should be on social media and should have a huge budget and a huge priority on social media. I think it depends on like she just said, the goals. What are you trying to achieve? Social media isn't for everybody. I tell people, if you're not going to do it well, don't do it at all, because bad social media is worse than no social media at all. That's just our opinion in our house. But it's about creating content. It's about, we always post social media for our clients as a behind the scenes. Who is this client? Who is this business? What do they do? How do they do it? So you understand, because buyers want to know the why behind who they're doing business with. It's not exactly what the widget is that they're purchasing. Apple is a great example. iPhone is probably a worse phone than Samsung, but people love the brand. People love the why. So that's why they stay with an iPhone and Apple. But it's not for everyone. It depends on the mix. Sometimes it makes complete sense to go all in. Sometimes it means go on organically. Sometimes it's paid. Sometimes there's a balance there, but more often than not, it always starts with content and how you're going to activate that content, either through social media, through your own places, or different channels.
Anybody, please.
Well, much like with the Bud Light discussion we were having, I think it's very important, like Steve said, you have to have the data on who you're trying to reach. So if your demographic that you're trying to reach is, elderly or incredibly young, there's different channels that you're going to access them through. So without having that start with that good data, it'll be misguided regardless of your budget.
I would follow up on what Steve said about if you can't do it well, don't do it, from the standpoint. Social media, Forbes says that 93% of small businesses struggle with social media. That's because, hey, this looks like a great free idea. Let me do it. And they do it once, and then if you go and look at I would say half of the businesses in the Mahoning Valley, if you go to their social media right now, the last post was 2022. Right. Merry Christmas or Happy New Year, maybe. And so, it's not their fault. I mean, if you're, my family's been in small businesses forever. You're busy. You're, putting the stock out, you're ordering, you're hiring, you're firing, you're doing all kinds of stuff if you're a business owner. So social media, while technically it's free, is not, the solution for every small business, because it still takes a lot of work. So that's why they tend to hire somebody, and hopefully would hire somebody.
Jeff?
Well, I think the thing to remember when you talk about all the choices, but people consume so much media, supposedly 9 hours a day. Sometimes it's hard to believe that's true, but those are the stats that show. So my point is, yes, there's a lot of media choices, but people are consuming it all the time, whether on their phones, television, doesn't matter whether it's streaming or it's cable or broadcast, magazines. I mean, we just consume media. So I think all those channels are necessary and welcome. Obviously, some come and go, but we live in a society of media consumption, so there should be multiple channels then.
The Business Journal Roundtable Series is sponsored by iSynergy, creative digital advertising.